The Whole Tribe, Chapter 5. The religious nature of the people of Ho. Growth, by which it is conveniently distinguished from other trees, may be the reason why it is used for ritual purposes. Besides the MAWU, a tree similar to the palm is planted, which the natives call also thunder tree. Under these trees is the MAWU, God's bowl, which is distinguished from the offering bowls of the earth gods in that it is not fired. As these evergreen trees shade the divine enclosure, the residents of the house, MAWU's children, sit under the protection and shade of God, where they have nothing to fear. B. Religious rites. The MAWU priest plants various herbs in the bowls under the trees, the most important of which is Ma, because it is only through it that the others derive their value. He then fills the bowls with water that was fetched by a still unmarried and clean 17 girl. Some palm wine which was brought home in a pot carefully covered with leaves is poured onto the water. Only through this is the guarantee given that no woman in her period can see or touch it. The other rites in connection with the worship are performed at specific periods, daily, weekly, or annually, and irregularly, or also through certain events. The daily service consists mainly of ablutions from the divine bowl, which are performed with prayer immediately after getting up in the morning. Before this purification has taken place, the person who is going to undergo the rites is not allowed to talk to anybody. Entry is forbidden to those women who are not clean or who have committed adultery. For weekly or monthly worship, the worshiper brings a small sacrifice consisting of eggs, palm wine, and flour. The worshiper prays, "Great God, you who sees my thoughts, I bring you here 2 eggs from the hens from my fowls. Take care of my house, of my children and my wives, and let me have cowrie shells so that there is always peace in my house." The container in which the palm wine was brought will not be taken back home on that same day. The weekly worship takes place on Saturday. When the priest gets up from his mat, he washes his face from the divine bowl, dabs his forehead, temples, chest, and arms with white clay and dresses in white. Then he sets off to his hut, which is consecrated only to the worship of MAWU, where he remains sitting on a stool sprinkled with white clay until sunset. The reason for this is that, on that day, God is with him and will leave him only in the evening when it becomes cool. When the priest is leaving the hut, he hangs a white cloth over the entrance. For the festival, which takes place annually, only a completely white sheep should be used. The drinking cup, from which the person making the sacrifice drinks, must be impeccably clean, and to this end is thoroughly scrubbed before the custom. Likewise, he eats only from a white plate or, in any case, from a bowl which has been carefully washed beforehand. The invited guests for this festival must sleep separately from their wives the previous night. Girls who still know nothing of a man must cook and fetch water. Other people who do not belong to the MAWU children may not take part in the festive meal. Only those with whom MAWU is dwelling are invited from outside. The fire needed for cooking should not be taken from any hearth but must be made with. The Whole Tribe, Chapter 5. The religious nature of the people of Ho. Flint and tinder, although nowadays European matches are also used. It should also not be lit on an ordinary hearth because it is impure. Instead, the 3 pieces of wood are laid on each other in such a way that a pot can be put on it. At the end of the festival, the fire must also be put out with water that had been fetched in the morning by a pure hand. Thus, the desecration of the holy fire must be prevented. The MAWU worshipper carefully keeps the 3 pieces of used firewood. The offering of sacrificial sheep is performed in this way. While the sheep is held up 3 times towards the sky, the one making the sacrifice prays, then kills it and uses the blood for the actual sacrifice, leaving the meat for the attendants to cook. Details of the sacrifice customs can be discerned best from the sacrifice rites to be described, which are performed for a MAWU worshiper who has sinned against God. A man with whom MAWU dwells dreams somewhat like this. Someone is standing in front of him, whose form he sees exactly. The figure standing before him says, "You are trading and you are successful in your trade, but I am the one that lets you succeed. Do you really think that I don't want to have anything and go hungry? Then you must go and see how far you will get in your power." The next morning, the person who had the dream goes one of his relations to narrate the dream, saying that he woke up feeling very weak. Some days later, the dreamer feels unwell and complains about pains in the waist, in the stomach, in the chest, and in the head. Thus it becomes clear to the confidant what the whole thing is about. He explains to the dreamer, God himself, MAWU, has revealed himself to you. Go and look for a white sheep and everything necessary for the sacrifice. No Tro priest will be called upon for the ensuing sacrificial rites. Only a man with whom MAWU also dwells is allowed to perform this service. The MAWU priest called upon to perform the sacrifice gets inside the divine fence, and the one to be expiated kneels down in front of him, holding the sacrificial ram over his neck. Bowing his head to the earth, he says, Metikuku, tonye mezzo o, adzo, sikenebia, eyekemena. Nedziwo nabobo, nakpodzinyen uede aba alesi nekpodzinye tsaane, which means, I beg, for I have done wrong. Here, I bring the offering which you want from me, so that you are no longer angry with me. Now take care of me as you used to do. Hereupon, the priest standing in front of him asks, What have you said? The suppliant answers, Formerly I did not know. I thought I could work through my own strength. I did not know that it is He who gives me health, and for this reason He has revealed Himself to me. Everything that He demands from me, I will therefore give Him. May He take care of me well. If I go to the market, may the market be successful, and if I go to the farm, may I get good proceeds from the farm. If I go to the loom, may I remain healthy. May 2 ears of corn grow from one seed. If I buy something for 25 pfg, may I get 50 pfg. I am giving you the sheep that you have demanded from me. EU religious practice from Spieth biblical parallel scriptural reference. A clean unmarried girl pours water and palm wine for purification. Only the clean undefiled could approach sacred objects or enter the sanctuary. Leviticus 15:31, Numbers 19:20. No menstruating woman may see or touch the water. Women in their menstrual cycle considered unclean and barred from sacred space. Leviticus 15:19-24. Ablution washing every morning before prayer, morning washing and sanctification before presenting oneself to God. Exodus 19:10-14. Psalm 5:3. Worshipper confesses sin and brings offerings of eggs and palm wine, offerings accompanied by confession of sin. Leviticus 5:5-6. Weekly worship on Saturday, wearing white garments. Sacrificial rituals use only clean white sheep. Sabbath observance on the seventh day. Exodus 28:2-10. Leviticus priestly white garments. 16:4. Leviticus 22:21. Numbers 28:3. Sacrifices require unblemished animals. Dream revelation interpreted by priest before sacrifice. Fire for sacrifice must be pure and extinguished with pure water. Priest intercedes and receives confession before offering. God reveals His will through dreams, requiring interpretation. Holy fire maintained and not defiled. Sacred water used. Priest mediates between God and sinner. Genesis 41:1-16. Joseph interpreting Pharaoh's dream. Leviticus 6:12-13. Numbers 19:9. Leviticus 4:20. Hebrews 5:1. Worshipper responds with thanksgiving and requests for blessing. For example, market success, health, vows and prayers, with offerings and thanksgiving, and requests for prosperity. Deuteronomy 26:1-11. Psalm 50:14-15.